In trap number 4, we looked at how doing nothing only makes your debt problem worse, but sometimes it's not avoidance. It's that life throws you something you never saw coming. A job loss, a medical crisis, a divorce, and suddenly you're at the point Bill calls the breaking point. So Bill, what do you exactly mean by that?
The breaking point is when you go from treading water to drowning. It's exactly what you said, John. It's when a life event happens, either an unexpected expense or a loss of income, that your debt problem becomes unmanageable.
And for a long time, debt was associated with shame. People were ashamed to be in debt. How has that evolved over the years, and why is it important for people to drop the guilt?
Well, it's important because they need to understand that there's a system in place that works against them. You may have heard of Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts. She started out as a law professor, wrote a famous book. And what that book really showed is that consumers are vulnerable to these life events that then can cause them debt issues. But the book also showed that the credit system creates vulnerabilities for consumers and helps lead to their downfalls. You know, in some of these traps that I've been laying out, it identifies some of those ways that the credit system leads to a consumer's downfall.
Basically piling on if they miss one payment.
Exactly.
And also inviting them not to take their debt seriously by offering these minimum payments.
Right. They incentivize not paying off the full balance and allowing that balance to build.
And so when people do get into trouble, a lot of times it's not because they're out on some shopping spree, it's because simply life happens.
Exactly. What I've experienced in my own law practice in representing consumers, and I've heard these stories over and over, it's a life event. Again, it's a divorce, it's moving, it's a death in the family, it's a health issue. It's something that either causes a sudden loss of income or a sudden expense.
And you've talked to hundreds of people over the years about this, and they're in trouble, financial trouble. Is there one particular story that sticks out with you?
Yeah, well, the most common stories are the unexpected expense or health issue. I remember in particular elderly couple from Missouri that were talking about it, and they had ended up raising their 2 young granddaughters, and they'd gotten into credit card debt by paying for the drug rehab of their only daughter. And it was just so heartbreaking at the end of their life that they had to deal with this kind of unexpected life event.
And when people do reach that breaking point, what's the one thing you want them to understand?
Well, that millions of people have been in the same exact situation, and millions of people are in the same situation now. I think according to the most recent Federal Reserve report, 10% of Americans are behind on at least one credit card statement. So this is a common problem, and that's why they've developed 4 solutions to this problem.
So take us through the 4 debt solutions.
So basically, if you've got an unmanageable debt issue and you're trying to figure out how to get out, there's 4 options available to you. You have bankruptcy, credit counseling, a loan consolidation, or debt settlement.
So the key is, Bill, for people to go to legaledgedebtsolutions.com and see what their 4 options are.
Yeah, this is why I created Legal Edge Debt Solutions, is so that people understood that there were options, and then what each of those options were, what the pros and cons of each of those options are, and then the assessment allows the consumer to plug in their information, their financial goals, and get a solution that says which path works best for them. And this assessment is free, it's easy, and it's confidential. They'll get a result, and then we also provide resources to help them solve the problem.
So your message is get over the guilt, take the assessment, and take action.
Yes. If you listen to the traps, you understand we have a credit system that creates vulnerabilities. When life events happen, they're vulnerable to those because of the credit system. So just like the banks don't have any shame or guilt in charging you the most interest they possibly can, you should have no shame or guilt when you decide, hey, I can't play the game anymore. I need to take care of the best interests of me and my family. I need to implement one of these debt solutions.